Right, Pedro, so this is how I came up with those stats for you. Essentially what you need to do is pick any activity done. This is your site. Let's find... you mentioned there's a ride yesterday that you really liked, so I think it was this one. So click on this. I should say what you need. So you basically need Strava open and you need an Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheets, whatever. So here's your data. This is your ride summary, and over here there's a button called Analysis, top left. Click on that, and what it will do is it will give you the route on the map, and then it will give the altitude, and then segments if you're interested, and laps. I'm not sure what that's about, but maybe you set something up. And then underneath it shows you your speed throughout the route, and then it tracks it along the route itself. And the estimated power, I don't know if you've got a power meter on your bike, and the heart rate. So what I did is, with these stats I came up with, is I realised that, you know, the average speed over your whole run doesn't really give you much information. So I split it up into segments. I started with doing segments of 2 miles, but what I realised is you never really got a consistent speed along a 2 mile stretch. It's interesting, even for the Yorkshire run that you did, it was unusual for you to have a constant 2 mile uphill, and by that I don't mean in that general direction, I mean at where you're going the same speed for 2 miles. So I didn't find that really worked. So I did it for a mile, and that seems to be a good balance. You can do half a mile, but it gets quite fiddly with the old mouse, because the way you do that, the way you create these 1 mile segments, is you click on the gradient map, and you click and hold, and then move the cursor to the right, and as you can see it starts subdividing the right. So I made that one, you know, you can make it 20 miles an hour, you can make it as long as you like, but if we go for 1, okay, and then if you hover over the segment, you can then drag this across the whole thing. So what I did is I started right at the beginning, and I looked down here, and if you can see here, I hope the resolution is good enough, it gives you your speed over that 1 mile sector, and it gives you a maximum speed and an average speed. And essentially what I did is I looked for where there was a discrepancy of less than 5 miles an hour, because if it's a varied run, so for example, let's find the way you speed up. You see, something like that. Oh, there we go. There is it. Something like that. Your average speed and maximum speed are quite far apart, so it's difficult to draw many conclusions about how you are on that route. Although that's my thoughts. So what I did is I started here right at the beginning, and you can see almost straight away you've got less than 5 mile an hour discrepancy. So I would normally ignore that, and I essentially drag it along until these 2 readings, the max and the average, are less than 5 apart. So get a mouse, by the way, to do this, because otherwise your finger will hurt. So there we are. So this section here, I'll just show you the map out of interest, in case you recognise it. This is a 1 mile section of track, and you were going 25.3 as your max speed and 20.4 as your average. So all I did is I then looked underneath the gradient map, and it shows you the distance. It also shows you the elevation change, minus 93 feet, and the gradient decrease, minus 1.6. And then all I did is I opened the spreadsheet and I stuck those figures in. So you'd have 1 column for gradient, 1 for average speed, and you would just remind myself, you would type minus 1.6, and then average speed of 20.4. And that would be that. And you just do that as many times as you can. So here we are, we're 3 miles into the race. So what I then do is I drag this beyond the 3 mile stage. There it says 3 miles. Because I don't want to go through the same data twice. So I go beyond 3 miles and then I start again. And as you can see, I get one straight away. 22.4 is my max speed, average 18.5. So I then collect that data. So it's a 0.1% gradient, average speed 18.5. And I put that in here. So to do, I'm quite happy. I mean, if you want to look at your data, that's absolutely fine. And you can input it if you want, and if you just want to copy it to me, I'm happy to do all these graphs for you. But essentially what the graphs are, is a scattergram. So your x-axis is your gradient and your y-axis is your average speed. And I asked it to, if we double click on here, you may use Excel or something, so it might be different. But I wanted a trend line, just a line of best fit. But interestingly, you can have ones which are probably more accurate, like a polynomial. So you can see there that's slightly curved. But I suppose that sort of makes sense based on your riding style. You might find actually there's a kind of, you can have a gradient of 10% downhill, and realistically you're not going to go much faster than if it's a 6% because you don't want to die. Whereas with an uphill, it's probably more consistent. The steeper it is, the slower you get. So how I got my data over yours was a bit crude. I wanted them to be different colours, so this is my data down here. As you can see, there's much many more target points. And what I did is I created the same graph, but I've made it opaque and the same size, so I made sure all the parameters were the same, and I simply stuck them on top of each other. Now, in the time available, I haven't done it quite right, but that's essentially it. And the more data points you add, the more information you get, and your line of best fit will change, albeit not by much, I suspect. Just to quickly show you what I did with my stats in the past, I started by doing a two-minute segment, but as I said, the average speed and the maximum speed were so far apart, I suspect it doesn't tell you much. I then did 1 minute apart, and then I did 0.5 miles apart, and I found actually you get less data with the 2 miles apart. So I think that was the 1 mile apart. This is all the data ever, including 2 miles apart, 1 mile apart, and half a mile apart. And as you can see, it gets a little bit rough. I did another one to try and simplify it. I tried to do it through the segments, it gives you segments, but it only gives the segments only to the nearest 1%, so that's why there isn't so much of a nuance, in the gradients that are specific, the 1% gradients apart, if that makes sense. So that's it. Yeah, probably was boring. But yeah, feel free to have a look, and if you want to get more information, I think feel free. I suspect though that your data will not be too much different from that, or you might just by inputting it in, you realise that you might find it's really accurate for you, and as a result, you don't need to keep putting data in, and you can kind of stop at some point. I'll leave that to you. Anyway, this video is nearly 10 minutes long, and most people fall asleep within about 7-8 minutes, so hopefully you're snoring away by this point, but if you're not, sleep well when you do. Take care, man. Ta-ra for now.